Hey everyone, what's up? And we have another Fallout 76 video here. Game Informer just came out with a very interesting Fallout 76 article, pretty much elaborating what the game will be about and what we have to expect from Fallout 76. I'm going to break down and bring in the most important parts that I feel that are in the article. I'm going to bring them to you. If you guys want to check out this article, the link to that will be down in the description below. Alright guys, so let's get this started. Let's start off with a quote from Todd Howard. Every character you see is a real human is true to a point, but there's another way to interpret this. Every human you see is a human. They aren't the only intelligent beings in the wasteland. You will run into other characters that are controlled by AI, such as robots. Some of these individuals are enemies you have to deal with, but others are mission givers. A few may even be vendors you can barter with. Now, this is huge for me. I was really wondering if you would have to rely solely on human players for you to trade with, for you to build up your caps. However, there will be vendors in the game and there will be mission givers in the game, so whether it's through a holotape, through a robot, who the heck knows, but according to Todd Howard, there are controlled AI in the game, so that's one of the most important questions that almost every single Fallout fan has been asking. So let's move on with this article. The big difference between Fallout 76 and the other games in the series is you don't engage in conversation with most of the NPCs. You still hear what they have to say, but you don't have dialogue choices to see their conversation or mission in a different way. Bethesda likely has a number of colorful NPCs that players will grow fond of, but they hope the most interesting beings in the wasteland end up being the other human players. They want them to be the real storytellers. Although Bethesda has talked at length about Fallout 76 being a survival experience that pushes players to keep their hunger and thirst in check, it is still a game driven by quests. When you emerge from the vault, you receive a transmission from the Overseer. She left before everybody, Howard says. She left secret instructions for you, and that's kind of jumping on point for what we call the main quest. At the end of it, you launch nukes. The nukes are a game system, but they are also part of the main story. This Overseer's quest is not something you can blaze through. It's a lengthy, multi-part story that takes players across West Virginia. This quest requires the player to be a high level at its conclusion. Even if the player sticks to this quest, they will still receive optional tasks along the way and will end up having a menu filled with missions that can be selected at any time. Given the nature of the game, you can jump ahead in parts and go back to others. Quests are not just gained by NPCs. Players can find them embedded in holotapes, nodes, terminals, and may even gain one by simply being in the proximity of a notable location. Fallout 76 project lead Jeff Gardner says the development team didn't want players to simply run past great content. You'll wander near something and will be alerted of a quest, like explore this mine, he says. In the past, we thought that was maybe a little gamey, but we want you to find it. We're being very proactive where this content is. You'll have a lot to do very quickly. This is a very important part of the article. So in the very beginning of the game, we already know that we have a lot of work to do, and this might be just us as players creating our character and to level up and really set who we're going to be in this world and be prepared for PvP battles. So that's why I think there's a lot of content in the beginning of the game because of this, so maybe everybody can be more even at the start of the game, but that's just a theory of mine. Now let's talk about actually playing with people. Let's talk about the PvP part of the game and just the multiplayer part of playing with your buddies. So we're going to talk about events right now. Events are something new to the Fallout experience. When you get near one, it starts broadcasting for help, Howard says. It's like a timed multiplayer quest. As you explore the world, you'll be alerted of them occurring nearby, or you may see some appear on your map. Most are geared for teams, but some may require more players converge on an area. Bethesda doesn't want to reveal exactly what we can expect from the events, but we do know some appear at random times and places, whereas others appear in specific places and at specific times. Once you discover one, you can fast travel to it. So there's definitely fast travel in Fallout 76. And for me, that's a relief. I wanted fast travel in the game. I haven't heard about it. I haven't heard if there would be fast travel, but this quote by Todd Howard confirms that there will indeed be fast travel in the game. Let's move on to another quote by Gardner. Gardner detailed one of the smaller events players could possibly come across. You'll get a call about robots in distress, and you basically have to go and escort them to various locations. If they live in the end, you get a reward. That's a random event that will spawn. Some people will join you or not. The robots have a lot of character, and they are sort of the levity of the mission. You'll follow along, and they'll make little comments to you. Gardner noted events often give the best rewards. If you're looking for better loot and don't have a firm grasp of crafting yet, you want to engage in events. That means becoming a part of the multiplayer experience, as most can't be completed solo. So this is where Bethesda is forcing us to actually play the multiplayer part of the game. So you really can't play this game solely by yourself. If you want to engage in certain events, you need to play with a friend or a number of people. And quite frankly, it is a PvP game, it is a multiplayer game, so it's not shocking, but it does stink that we can't play it like a traditional single-player Bethesda Game Studios game. Up to 4 people can team up together. All the content factors in the group dynamic, even quests. The team leader can queue up a mission which every party member sees and can engage in if they so choose. Should you get separated from your friends or need to travel great distances to your settlement or hub to resupply your gear, you can immediately fast travel back to any one of your teammates. This Fallout experience is a bit harsher in terms of how the world is structured. It's more of a zone game and more level jump than our previous stuff, Howard says. Some of the feedback we've gotten is, I'm just going to run across the game, I died, it got hard. There's a reason for that. We have higher level zones. That's not to say that the game won't factor in your level. If you enter a zone, things may spawn between level 40 and 60 depending on your level. If you enter that area at a lower level, well, you're in for a hell of a fight. If you are in a group, the first player in sets the level ranges. If that player leaves the area, the next player in changes the level. Bethesda says the game is divided into 6 regions, but wouldn't give specifics for each. Howard did say the cranberry bogs are really hard. While teams are limited to just 4 players, you can technically play with other people on your system's list. You just can't group up with them in the game. Don't expect to see people everywhere. It's definitely not an MMO with hundreds of players running around a server. We have 24 players on one server on a map, that's 4 times the size of Fallout 4. There will be times you see other players, but we hope it's not something that's commonplace. Now let's talk about settlement building in Fallout 76. And settlement building in this game appears to be the forefront and appears to be the base mechanic, the most important mechanic here in Fallout 76. The best way to survive in Fallout 76 is to build a settlement rich in workbenches, farm fields, and harvesters. You can build your home almost anywhere, but a scenic view may not be the best location as you gain more benefits placing it near a resource deposit. There's a lot more harvesting, Howard adds. We have harvesters and things like that for regenerating resources. It's machinery. If you find a deposit of aluminum, you can harvest those resources. If you gain enough at that one deposit and want to move your camp, the game automatically blueprints everything you made, allowing you to pick it up and move it wherever you want. Other players can do your camp harm, but since you have that blueprint, you can easily rebuild it exactly the same. You also don't have to fear what happens to your settlement when you log off of the game. Your camp magically vanishes from the world at the exact second your character does. It's different than Ark and games like that because you're not picking a server. It's better for us and the people playing to keep their progression by jumping around to different servers. The camp building should be familiar to anyone who played Fallout 4, offering similar functionality for how electricity works and components click together. If you play the game cooperatively, your team can help you build your base. You can even connect settlements with everyone in your party to make a larger space, although each player needs to be online to have their part of the settlement appear in the world. We had one test where a dozen people built their camps next to each other and created an enormous city, Mayor says. That sounds absolutely fantastic, and that sounds like a lot of fun. Honestly, I love that. I love that idea. I hope me and my buddies can go in there, make a huge city, and we can just have a blast. But it does stink that you need to be online at the same time as them, but it certainly does make sense. Each player builds one home base, but there are also public workshop spaces that you'll come across. Howard says they almost feel like event zones. It's a space you can take over that has a lot of supplies. You and the people on your team can build there. There's gameplay with resource generation. There are enemy waves that attack these spots. This camp is temporary, however. When you leave, another team can roll in to claim it as their own. Your camp can also be a haven for other players not in your team, although Bethesda is still trying to figure out exactly how this will play out. You can walk up to someone else's camp and harvest their plants. You can't go through their stashes, but you can get some things that regenerate. Right now, it's a crime to take fruits and vegetables, and you'll find yourself in trouble. That may change by the time the game launches. One thing you won't have to worry about is the power armor. In Fallout 4, if you ran out of juice, you can climb out of it, leave it, and return with a new battery. The power armor is now treated like an inventory item rather than a vehicle. You can still get in and out of it, but you can now pick it up. So guys, what do you think about Fallout 76 with all of this information that I presented to you as a whole? I, for one, am very excited for this game. It's going to be something different. You're going to have to interact with players. You're going to have to play with players. So it's going to be a game that's completely different from what we're playing when we play Fallout 4 or even the previous Bethesda Game Studios games. However, I'm going to give this game a try as Fallout is my favorite franchise, and it will definitely be some fun because, like I've said in previous videos, what Bethesda Game Studio game wasn't good? Wasn't just a good video game. I'm not talking about a good Fallout game or a good Elder Scrolls game, but just a good game overall. Which game did they not deliver in? I can't think of one. So we should just use that track record, put it into this, and we could get a very good game. Maybe not the single player experience we're used to, but a good game that we can all enjoy. Alright guys, I thank you all for watching. Please hit that like button, comment if you haven't already. Please subscribe for more. Also, if you can check out my Patreon and follow me on Twitter, the links to those will be down in the description below. Alright guys, I thank you all for watching. Godspeed.